My guest today has spent over 2 decades building a nationally recognized branding firm. She relocated from Cleveland to Colorado by following what she refers to as a spiritual calling. She coaches entrepreneurs on execution for a living and is by all accounts a certified cat person who wears her heart firmly on her sleeve. Which means this conversation is going to be warm, honest, and probably a little unexpected. Rachel Downey is the founder of Guide Studio, a certified EOS implementer, and someone who knows firsthand what it feels like to be lost inside a business you built yourself. In this episode, she shares her 3 legs of the stool analogy, the framework she stumbled into through 3 pivotal moments. I'm Ryan Castle. This is Level 10 Leaders, where ideas are easy and execution is everything. Let's go. Rachel Downey, welcome along to the Level 10 Leaders podcast. So great to have you on the show today.
It's great to be here. I love talking with you, Ryan.
Very excited, Rachel. You've been our EOS implementer, so I've had the great fortune of getting to know you both in a couple of communities and also in our on our EOS journey. So I know you just have so many great things to share, and very excited to unpack those for our audience today. As we like to do on our podcast, let's kick off with some fast fact questions, get the audience to know you a little bit before we dive deep. So we're going to start with the easy category, food. Are you a breakfast or dinner girl?
Well, breakfast food is my absolute favorite, but if I had to pick it for a meal, I'd pick dinner. I love dinner because it's community, it's sharing and sitting down with my husband, my son. So dinner's my favorite meal.
I love that one. And on holiday, would we find you bungee jumping, or would we find you with one of the several EOS books on a pool lounger reading through that?
Bungee jumping for sure. My number one core value is adventure. So you'll probably find me leaping off bridges, camping, rafting. I was once tricked into doing a via ferrata. So adventure is the name of the game.
Tell us more about that.
I was in an entrepreneur retreat in Whistler, and part of the game is you don't know where you're going until you get there. And so they handed me a harness and said, let's go. And
you said a via ferrata, is that what you said?
A via ferrata.
I don't even know what that is. You have to explain it for me.
So it's a cliff scaling, and there's rebar steps, and you latch in and climb a cliff. It's pretty spectacular views and terrifying experience, but it's powerful to have done it.
Way to go. I love your style. Okay. When it comes to learning, what's your favorite medium? Do you like podcasts, books, videos? What's your thing?
I am a Kindle girl for all of my fiction books, which I can read in a sitting. But for business books, I need a hard copy and a highlighter to, get all that good knowledge out.
Love it. And any recent fiction or business book recommendations for us?
I am now reading the new book called Issues, which is about how to approach EOS and issue solving through our IDS track.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll have to take a look at that one.
Yeah.
Okay. The pivotal question, cats or dogs?
Oh, cats. Easy. I'm a cat person. You Rachel, should know this about me. I'm sassy. I got attitude. You can read everything on my face. I love cats. They're independent. They're beautiful. They're cuddly.
Yeah. What do they say? Cats have slaves and dogs have masters.
Yeah. Exactly.
There we go.
That's how I feel.
Oh, actually, some things are resonating for me. I see what's happening here. Okay, routine-wise, are you an early riser or a night owl?
Oh, night owl. As you know, I am a big fan of electronic music, so nighttime comes with that territory.
Well, doesn't that allow you to go from nighttime right through to early riser? Because any good EDM doesn't finish until daylight hours anyway, does it?
Well, I get a little panicky if the sun is coming up, so I need to go to bed right before that.
Yeah, okay, I got it. And if you're watching a movie, what genre would it be? Thriller, comedy, drama? What's your vibe?
I'm going to go with comedy on this one. I think the world needs more laughter, and I certainly love to laugh.
Yeah, you do. And you have a gorgeous laugh to go with it too.
Well, thanks.
All righty, let's go a little bit deeper. Let's talk about the 3 insights. We like our guests to give us a little bit of a summary up front, and then we like to unpack those. So, Rachel, what are your 3?
Yeah, well, I just want to first of all thank you for asking for 3 insights, and especially around pivotal moments in my career, this gave me an opportunity to do a lot of reflection. And the 3 things I want to talk about today are from my own experiences and stories. The first is how it can be really lonely at the top. And sometimes inside these businesses we've built, we actually find ourselves feeling really alone. The second is the quiet voice. And the quiet voice always knows. So you just have to sit still enough to hear it. And thirdly, I want to talk about the idea of investing in yourself. We put so much into our companies and forget to invest in us. And so the entrepreneur comes last. So I'm excited about those 3 things because they kind of lead into a revelation I had as I was reflecting on this, which I'd love to share at some point. But in summary, it's the loneliest place, the quietest voice, and the best investment.
Oh, these have equal amounts of intrigue and resonance for me as well, because I think I'm going to be closely aligned with a few of these. But let's start with the loneliest place, and maybe as part of that, you could give us a little bit of your journey as an entrepreneur and through to EOS Implementer, etc. So we learn a little bit more about your journey as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my first company when I was 25. If I back up and really look at it, I think I was an entrepreneur since age 8. I was a neighborhood kid organizing magic shows and dance recitals and the lemonade stand and yard sales. But my first real business, I was 25, which is still relatively young. And so naturally, I hired a lot of people my age. I had a great team. We were really good at our work. We were having fun, making an impact. And making a name for ourselves. So that company is actually turning 29 this year. Don't do the math, please. But
you said you started it when you were 8, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And it's a phenomenal company. I'm really proud of it, and it's a thread through some of the stories I'd love to share. But in 2011, something really weird happened. I'm looking around at this business. The team is thriving. They're really good at taking things off my plate. They're doing great work. And I felt invisible. I was watching my team flourish while I had really no idea what my job was anymore. And that's where the loneliness set in. I was realizing that, I couldn't tell anybody that I didn't really have any idea what I was doing. I had a severe case of imposter syndrome. I was showing up for work hours and felt like I was accomplishing nothing. And because I didn't have any direction and no real understanding of like what I was supposed to do for this business, it was very disorienting. I felt lost. So from the outside, everything looked great, but inside I was a hot mess. I was really lost. And here's the irony about this business. This is a company in Cleveland, Ohio called Guide Studio. And we are specialized in wayfinding, which is literally helping people find their way so they don't get lost. So the irony was not lost on me.
Indeed. And what was the evolution for you? Do you feel like it was that zone of going from a doer, and when you're a doer, you're normally quite clear on what it is you need to do. You've got a list of things or a process to follow to go through. Was it your evolution from doer when you first started the organization through to a leader and that kind of whole role change, and you didn't know what you were supposed to be doing as a leader?
Yeah, that was absolutely a lot of it. What I was finding is I had hired people more talented than me in the space of design. And so I gave them all the best projects. And I really knew that my responsibility was to run the organization. And I was figuring a lot out, but I really didn't know how, and I didn't have anyone to talk to. So 2011 is when I found Entrepreneurs Organization. And within, I swear, like 2 minutes, I figured out 2 things. The first was I found my people. So I'm a nerd, I'm a creative, and I've always been a bit of an alternative kid. I had, in high school, the skulls and spikes and colored hair. And I should probably point out for anyone listening that my hair is still colored and is currently, what would you say, Ryan? Going from like a reddish brown to magenta.
Yeah, I think so. But I will also qualify that at this particular moment in time, you don't have any scales or pins going either.
No skulls or spikes today.
Yeah.
No, I've retired those. So here it is. I get into EO, I find my tribe, and what I found was that it was filled with people who were like me, who were somewhat nerdy, really wanted to have deeper conversations, who wanted to talk vulnerably about their wins and their woes, who wanted to become better versions of themselves every day. And like I felt really at home in this group of people. And it is without hyperbole, I'll say that EO changed the trajectory of my entire life. So that was discovery number one. The second thing that became immediately apparent to me was I was failing my team at my company because I was playing small. And they really deserved a leader who had a clear and compelling vision and was brave enough to give them the opportunity to be challenged and to grow. And so what that required of me was for me to grow up a lot. And I did that very visibly in front of my team. They watched me go through these growing pains. They watched me get really far outside of my comfort zone in order to be the leader that they deserved. And I think that made a big difference. I actually have team members that are still with me since that day because they saw my own vulnerability and the potential that I was creating for them in terms of growing the organization. So now I can say that I'm a leader who raised leaders, who is now raising their next generation of leaders. And that is something I'm deeply proud of.
Yeah, indeed. You're a parent in many contexts. Rachel, I'm curious, when you had this observation that you were playing small and you didn't think it was fair to the team members that you had, was that just something that you had observed yourself, or were you getting feedback from the team of like, oh, we could take this bigger and why aren't we going more aggressive with our growth?
No, it was really a self-discovery. They were somewhat content at the time to just show up, do the work, get incrementally better every day at the work we were doing, but weren't attached to a vision. And once I was able to bring more clarity about where we were going, then the excitement started. And I could safely say today that it's probably Guide Studio version. Oh, I'm going to go with 6.2. We keep leveling up like these full new installs. And the company has evolved a lot. And so have the people within it. They've been able to grow quite a lot for a small organization.
Okay, amazing. And was this one of your quiet voice moments when you had this whole realization about leveling up, playing a bigger game, being the leader that you could be?
I think it could have been. Yeah, it could have been, but I have another quiet voice story that's much more painful, and this is where the tears might come.
Well, before we get to possibly the tears, you've already mentioned the power of vulnerability for a leader. So we're good. Let's be vulnerable. I think you've seen me cry, and that you have. So I think we're on even ground here.
So in regards to that moment in 2011, or in regards to my next story?
Your next story.
Oh, my next story. All right. Oh gosh. Oh, the quiet voice. So I've been in the room, I've been in the session room over 400 times, and I'm a member of EO. I'm really intimate with a lot of entrepreneurs. And I will say that most of us have a quiet voice. And yeah, a good many visionaries are kind of loud, but a lot of us have a quiet voice on the inside. And we're not listening to it. And that quiet voice is often telling us like something's not working. What the hell are you doing? You started this business because it sounded like freedom, and instead you're like trapped inside this organization of your own making. Your business is now running you. Sometimes the quiet voice is whispering like there's more out of life. But we can't hear it because the noise around us is just too loud. So we're not getting quiet and settling in and listening. So I will tell my story about my own still small, still quiet internal voice that I squashed for a whole 18 months. That's a long time.
It is.
So for about this year and a half, I was driving to work every morning to my company in Cleveland. And this is a company I love. And I'm crying on my way to work every day throughout the seasons. It's summer, it's fall, it's winter, it's spring. I'm like, why is this happening? I couldn't understand it. And nothing about what I thought that voice was saying made sense to me. I love my people. I loved our work and our clients. The business was profitable. You know, I was being called to something new and it didn't make sense on paper. It was more of like a spiritual call. And here I am, living in Cleveland. My friends and family are there, this amazing business. But Ryan, have you ever heard the phrase, the mountains are calling and I must go?
I think my version of it is the oceans are calling and I must go. Although I do live in the mountains with you in Colorado right now. So I have a slightly different interpretation, but let's not derail the story for my love of the water.
Well, like I see these bumper stickers and magnets everywhere with this phrase on it. And I'm like, that's what happened to me. Literally, these mountains were calling. And my husband and son and I, we take ski trips out here, out west. And, Ohio's not really known for its mountains. So we'd come out here. And on one of these trips, we were wandering downtown Denver neighborhoods. And we were just thinking, like, what if? What if we made the big decision to move here? And we're looking at neighborhoods and we're in downtown Littleton, which is where I am right now. And downtown Littleton is like a quintessential old West Main Street. And we're sitting at this rooftop bar and the sun is setting over the Rockies. See, I'm getting teary. And I just start crying. I'm crying over my French fries. My husband and my son are looking at me like, what the heck is wrong with you? And I'm like sobbing over French fries. And they're like, what's going on? I'm like, this is it. This is my home. I need to be here. And that's when I stopped arguing with the voice and ended up settling in Littleton. We finally made the move. We finally made the decision to make the move, but I couldn't leave, right? Because I had built this amazing business with my bare hands and I wasn't going to abandon it. And I couldn't really run it from afar because part of the calling wasn't just the location. I was being called to a higher level of service. And so I needed to figure out a lot, especially with Guide Studio. And I had to build that next generation of leaders that could carry the vision, make decisions, run that business without me. And so that kind of brings me to my next big aha, which was turning to EOS. And, I went to EOS. We started implementing EOS to help bring clarity to the shared vision amongst all of us, to tighten up some of the things that weren't working perfectly, close some gaps, but most importantly, build the confidence of my leaders. And for me, EOS was not a rescue mission. It was a revelation, and it validated that we were doing a lot of things well. So I think there's a misperception that EOS is like a quick fix kind of operating system, but we were doing a lot of things well, but this became really fun. I was so surprised at how it felt because we had relief from some of the issues that had plagued us for years. They finally had a solution and went away forever. We were having a new kind of conversation. We were collaborating on another level because I was building this new generation of leaders. So EOS was absolutely transformative. And that allowed me to finally speak the words to my team that I needed to move out west. And I was going to ultimately leave them in charge.
I love that. Hey, Richard, can I get you to just come up a couple of levels for us? We'll have some people listening to the podcast that are not familiar with EOS and maybe EO. Can you firstly just draw the distinction between the difference between the entrepreneurs organization that you've talked about already and the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and then maybe give us a little bit of a dive. I know we could talk EOS for days, but for someone maybe who doesn't know what EOS is, just give a little bit of a high level on those. So what are the two, and then a little bit on EOS?
Yeah. I love the crazy acronyms that are just too damn similar. So we've got EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. So EO is a network of business founders and owners, entrepreneurs, all over the globe. There's about, to my knowledge, 15,000 members in this community. And as a global organization, we are largely volunteer-led, supporting one another through three primary elements, which are forum, meeting with a small group of people every month, the larger community and its events, and a path toward leadership to become a better leader within your organization and in your other communities. EOS is an operating system, the Entrepreneurial Operating System created by Gino Wickman. And Gino is a beautiful mad scientist who very methodically found the best tools that work inside any kind of organization that are the easiest to understand and have the greatest impact. And so the genius is in how he cobbled together this system that allows businesses to run their businesses better and get more of what they want out of the company that they built.
Brilliant. Good explanation. And my plug here is that if you are considering EOS, use a professional implementer to do it. I have spoken to so many people who tried the self-implementation route, did that for several years, never really got EOS cranking in their business, finally took the dive to work with a professional EOS implementer like yourself, Rachel, and just had a quantum difference in effect. So if you're pondering EOS, give Rachel a call or find yourself a local, another professional implementer to make it go better, faster, quicker in your business.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
That's a great, thank you for explaining that for our people that maybe weren't familiar with the difference between the two. I think that's really helpful. The example you shared was so personal, so thank you for being open to sharing that with us today. The resonance for me around the quiet voice was I had the exact same moment, but in a business context. I ended up getting up at like 2 a.m. and writing this massive discussion paper for my business partner and I to review in November last year. And it was that same kind of thing, whereas this little voice had been talking to me in the back of my head for a long, long time. And in the busyness of just pursuing what we were doing, we were keeping going. But there were some things that we really needed to unpack and get clarity on. So I totally resonate with I don't know whether my voice was quiet. I think it was by the end, it was yelling and screaming at me.
It does that. It's like, can you freaking listen?
Yeah, maybe I'm just a really slow learner and a bad listener, maybe, but I kind of got there in the end.
And
Okay.
and that voice, I think we all have them from time to time. And I have really learned to listen a lot sooner, not wait a year and a half. But I think that's part of my job in the session room is to extract the small voices, both from within the leaders in the room, but also there are literally quieter people that have great contributions. They just don't tend to speak up. And so extracting what they have to say is what makes really for a great team and a great experience and clarity about where they need to go next.
Yeah, definitely one of your superpowers.
Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about number three. The best investment is you.
All right, I'm going to give you another story. Ready?
Ready.
All right, so this one's a little newer. This is about 2.5 years ago. I hit a different kind of wall. This was a very personal wall. So once again, life looks great on the outside. I'm a really good manifester. You should know this. When I set out to make something happen, it happens. So I'm really good at designing the life that I want. So everything around me is great. I have moved to Colorado. I've got great friend group. I've grown my EOS practice. I've even improved my skiing compared to my Ohio quality skiing. And we're in Littleton. I'm living in my dream house, but something's not right. And it came down to this. I was not showing up as my best self for my family, for my clients, and even for myself. And I knew it every single day. I would wake up and I'm like, not my best self. And the irony behind that is I have now spent years helping entrepreneurs get out of their own way. And I really hadn't let anyone do that for me, kind of like the cobbler's children have no shoes. And this is when I realized I had to invest in me. And an investment in me is an investment in everybody. And so I got a couple of coaches and I was on the receiving end of the very thing that I give to others. So someone who could see me clearly, ask really hard questions, hold space for me to figure out like who I wanted to be next, what my evolution would look like as a person, as a family member, as a business owner. And so that was incredibly transformative to me. I think in just the first 12 or 14 months, I felt like I was a whole new person. It was really wonderful.
And Rachel, can I ask, when you were seeking out that coach, were you thinking about someone who would be more business orientation for you? Were you looking for someone that was more whole of life, or someone who was more, personal focused? What were you seeking?
All of the above. I got all the above.
Did you find the unicorn that was great at everything?
So I found one coach who was more of a personal coach, but she had a lot of business experience, and she works with high level performers, high achievers, particularly those of us with ADHD, and I was learning how to manage my brain for the first time. So, getting really raw and vulnerable here. I was a late diagnosis ADHD person, which happens a lot to women in their 50s, that all of our coping mechanisms stop working. And I had built all these tools that would allow me to function with this weird brain of mine, and now I had to relearn. So she was instrumental in helping me understand and even embrace and love my weird brain. And so she was one coach. Then I hired another coach who got me on a really phenomenal diet to help me reduce inflammation and just feel better in my body so I could be in this great warrior shape for my clients. And then I had some coaches that were in the EOS Implementer community who also helped me find my magic and bring it into the session room on a whole new level. And those three things all at once was just next level transformation for me. So much fun. And I got to admit, I don't even know if I'm done with this journey. I think I'm still in the middle of this transformation and this next level up, which I'm completely enjoying.
Okay. And did you experience any, let me call it business owner guilt, where you're like, oh, that money I'm about to spend on these coaches, I could be spending on marketing or systems or more growth, and maybe I should be spending it on that, not on me. Did you have to process any of that when you were making this decision?
I think in the past, when I had hired coaches and when we implemented EOS and so forth, I did have some level of guilt. And I think that was attached to the fear of, what if I invest in this and it doesn't get me the outcomes I want? At this more recent point, I knew the investments were going to pay off. And that comes with experience and age, is just knowing that investment's going to pay off. So I was really excited to spend the money and spend the time and dedicate some attention to my neglected self and help me be better for the people that I serve.
Yeah. And what feedback did you get from your husband, your son, your clients, your EO community? Did they observe this transformation you were going through? What did they feedback to you?
Yeah, well, I'm a cat. You can see my emotions and everything I'm going through. So everybody can see everything I'm going through all the time. I'm very transparent and vulnerable and open about what I'm experiencing. But there were physical transformations as well. I lost 25 pounds, for example.
Oh.
I had more energy. My skin was super bright and clear. It is, I'm still there. And it's been over a year. I feel like I'm more heart-centric. So I realized that I have spent my whole life in achievement mode. This is part of my Enneagram 3. Do you know Enneagram, Wilma? Enneagram 3-5 tie. So if you don't know it, it's an assessment that helps you understand kind of some of your inherent behaviors and outlooks on life. And I'm a 3-5 tie. So 3 is an achiever. And I have been an achiever my whole life. 5 is the investigator, the curious one. And I am working on embracing my investigator and being curious and heart-centric, and to lead with presence and love and just listening to that quiet voice instead of gaining more and more knowledge and shooting off facts and tools. I have all the facts and tools.
Sure.
I need to focus on this internal being. So that's the journey I'm in, and I'm enjoying the progress and the setbacks and then getting to progress again.
Amazing, Rachel. Thank you for sharing that. I love those three. That being an entrepreneur can be the loneliest place in the world. The encouragement to listen to the quiet voice, because I think that quiet voice is talking to us all the time. It's just whether we choose to listen to it,
Yeah.
and the willingness to invest in ourselves. We're so good at investing in others and in our businesses, but I think it's a common flaw. Maybe I think I can be that direct about lots of we both know many entrepreneurs, and their willingness to invest in themselves is definitely one that's lacking. So thank you
Yeah.
for shining a light on that.
Yeah.
Um,
I just want to share that, as I was reflecting on those three things, all of them start with this feeling of being lost. And as a lifelong wayfinder, I think being lost is one of the worst feelings. It just feels disorienting and icky and scary. So they all started with this feeling of being lost. And the three things that helped me get unlost, remarkably, are what's called the three legs of the stool, which are community. Everyone should have a community, especially business owners, to find an entrepreneurial community that gets you, that understands you, and you can be vulnerable with. I do believe every company needs an operating system. In reflection, it's almost madness not to have one. There's already a how-to book on running a great business, and to use your very precious brain power on creative and strategic endeavors instead of trying to figure out the how-tos. Like, of course, we should have an operating system. And then lastly is to find that coach. And in my case, I've gone through several coaches for different stages of my life, but I don't think anything is more valuable to an entrepreneur than having a coach that sees what we can't see or what we don't maybe want to see, and can help us be better in the game.
Amazing. I love that summary. Three legs of the stool: community, a business operating system like EOS, and a coach to yeah, we the coach component we talk about. This is a framework of my business partner, Dr. Mike, of course, that you know well, Rachel, and he talks about a great coach being someone that sheds a bright light. So, what really is going on here?
Mhm.
Um, a clear mirror. What is your role in this, and how are you accountable for what's going on? And
Mhm.
then he refers to the final action step as in a good kick in the pants,
Yep, we all need
and
that.
and having someone that's other than ourselves to do that bright light, a clear mirror, and a kick in the pants is a very powerful thing for us all.
Great summary. I love that.
Yeah. Hey, Rachel, thank you so much for joining us on the Level 10 Leaders podcast today. Thank you for being so open and vulnerable. I only saw a little glisten in the eyes. I didn't see any full tears. So you did well. A couple of deep breaths in there. But your willingness to be so open with us is truly appreciated. Thank you for sharing your joy, your laughter, and your wisdom with us on the show today.
Thank you, Ryan. It was really fun, and I'm glad I could share vulnerably with you and your audience anytime. Love to do it.
Thanks, Rachel. Disclaimer: Level 10 Leaders is an independent podcast and leadership development platform. It is not affiliated with, endorsed by, or sponsored by EOS Worldwide LLC. EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, Level 10 Meeting, and related trademarks are trademarks of EOS Worldwide and are used here for informational purposes only.